Hey guys, welcome to the Multiply Podcast. We are joined in studio today by my good friend, longtime friend, Jonathan Toderean. Jonathan, welcome to the Multiply Podcast.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited.
It's good to be together, brother. So let me just introduce you a little bit, because not all of our guests are going to know you. So you and I have had a long time relationship.
Long time.
Yeah, like you joined our youth ministry as a youth. How many years ago?
It's me to do math now. When I was 14, I'm 32 now, so 18 years ago.
Yeah, 18 years ago.
Yeah.
Coming up on 2 decades.
Yeah.
That's a long time, my brother. And so, no, it's been a wild journey. You were a youth in our youth group for a while, and then we got together in small group discipleship, and then you were a part of that, and then we started a real close relationship there, and then eventually you really grew, made an impact and an influence on a lot of other young men. And then we co-led together. You were a junior leader, and then you were a co-leader with me in our small group for many years. We led together small group discipleship for like
7-8 years.
7-8 years. Yeah. And then after that, you joined the police academy. You became a police officer. And then once you became a police officer, from there, you went to South Lake Tahoe.
Yep.
And that's where you've been ever since. How many years in the force now?
7 years now.
7 years.
Yeah, it's been 7 years.
That's wild. And then your younger brother, Caleb, joined the sheriff's department, right? And he became a sheriff in
Nevada County, also in California, 2 years prior to me.
2 years prior to you.
Yeah.
So 2 brothers in law enforcement. Pretty cool. And your brother was a part of our youth ministry as well. And married a great young lady, a good friend of ours, Estelle, and your brother, Caleb. Good people.
Yeah.
And I've known your family a long time. I've known your sisters and your brothers and so on, and you guys are all part of my youth ministry. And just as it developed and it grew, I always feel like me and you always had the closest relationship, you know? And then, ever since then, we moved out here 4 years ago, and every year you come out here and visit us, and we keep in touch and constant contact, and it's been a good journey.
And trying to guilt me into moving out here with you guys.
I would never do such a thing.
Never.
No, it's been many conversations where it would be cool because, we miss you, and having community is important.
Yeah.
And, especially good, solid, healthy Christian community.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you've always been my spiritual father, so for 15 plus years, so
it's been a journey.
Yeah, I miss you guys out here too. I think I keep coming back.
Yeah. I thought it was for the food, and it's not for the food.
I do enjoy the cholesterol, but here in the South, but it's definitely you guys.
Oh man, it's been good. But let's talk a little bit about those early years, man. Small group discipleship. I remember when we started doing small group discipleship. Like, you've always been a very studious person.
Yeah.
Like, you like knowing what you're talking about. You don't just, shoot from the hip. You typically will do your research and stuff.
Right. Well, I came to faith through study, right? So it's always been something like I need to know what I believe. So
right.
Very, very studious.
Well, explain that to our listeners. How did you end up coming to faith through study?
So grew up in a Christian home, or at least one that went to church, was dedicated in the church. At about 17, started going to college, took a philosophy class because love philosophy. We talk about that all the time.
All the time.
And I don't remember his name. I don't remember what he looks like. I just remember that our professor, to his credit, not a Christian at all, very anti Christianity and religion in general, but he taught us the Socratic method and challenged us to explain why we believe what we believe.
So let me just jump in there. The Socratic method of teaching, I love.
Yeah, it's such a great way to do it.
It really is. It is really something that, obviously, we call it the Socratic method because it's named after Socrates, but it's existed way before Socrates.
Right. He just kind of did the methodology of it.
Yeah. He did the methodology, and a lot of it's ascribed to him. It's really, you see it all throughout Scripture. It's the way that Jesus approached things often.
Right.
Where people, so the Socratic method is, instead of telling somebody an answer, right? It's challenging them with questions and helping them be introspective and to think deeper and then arrive at their own conclusions by asking really honest but really challenging questions.
Right.
And so you help a person develop something just by challenging them constantly and then being there as a guide as well.
Right.
Yeah, and I agree with that methodology. I see that Jesus would do it constantly with his disciples as well, where he would either challenge them with questions or he would say specific things, but it wasn't the exact answer that they were looking for. So he would give them an answer, and then the disciples have to go back and talk amongst each other and go, well, what does that mean? What does he mean by that? And
Right.
actually unpack it and develop it, because it would force growth.
Right.
So, yeah.
I mean, at its core, it's what all kids do. Why?
Right. Yeah.
Just why?
The core of the Socratic method is
A 2-year-old child.
honestly, it's literally the same question that a child would have is the same question that you have as a teacher.
Yeah.
Whereas a kid would go, well, why is it like this? Well, a teacher or a professor or somebody who's mentoring would have the same question. They go, okay, well, why is it that way?
Right.
It's like, well, I don't know. Well, walk me through it, and then start to unpack it. Yeah. So the Socratic method is incredibly important, in my opinion, in mentoring and discipling. But sorry, I interrupted you in your process there.
No,
So
it's good
you
to
went
define
to school.
it. So
Yeah.
started that, and
Where'd you go to college?
I was just taking classes at Sierra College, junior college.
Yeah, great.
Yeah, I didn't know what I wanted to do. Was just taking some classes.
Was the professor Dufault?
I couldn't even remember what age range he was in. I just
Gotcha.
remember he was a guy.
Yeah.
That's it. Some guy. But he challenged us, hey, why do you believe what you believe? And his entire class was set up as roundtable discussions, which I really enjoyed. But that set me on a journey of realizing I am only a Christian because my parents forced me to go to church. That's it.
Huge realization.
Right. And
Taking some ownership.
yeah. And I mean, you know me, I don't do anything in half measures. If I'm going to do something, I'm doing it all the way, for better or for worse.
So for our listeners, just to understand, when Jonathan says he doesn't do anything halfway, you would assume that means he does it 100% of the way. No, John does everything at 200%.
Right. Right. I'm either going to aggressively do it or I'm not going to do it at all.
Exactly.
Right. That's exactly it. And so
That's hilarious.
I decided, okay, I'm gonna go in with the assumption that everything I've been taught is wrong, and I'm gonna start at the complete opposite, which in my head at the time was atheism. Tried that philosophy, studied people, read people. After about 3 months, realized it's incredibly empty and dumb. So moved into agnosticism for about 1.5 years as I studied the Quran, studied Buddhism, Confucianism, Zoroastrianism, Hinduism.
I remember that season in your life.
Yeah.
I remember as a youth minister, little comments that I would pick up, because small details tell big stories. My good friend Dave Misty taught me that statement many years ago, and it has just ingrained itself in my life. And I remember as a youth leader and as a minister, I would have conversations with you, or have conversations with other people, and you would make little challenging comments.
Yeah.
Which I knew where your heart was, and I knew where you were coming from, and I knew you were on your journey, and I'd be praying for you throughout that process. But I had wondered, what was this going to develop into?
Yeah.
Because it was a journey that you were on. I was just
Right.
like, my concern was, how is this going to conclude? Is
Yeah.
this going to conclude with him shutting himself off and we're going to lose him? Or is this going to conclude with him searching and finding Jesus? But I remember those.
That's funny. We've
those
never
early
talked
years.
about that.
We've never talked about
Yeah.
it. Yeah. No, but I remember specific, because you know how it is. Like, you
Right.
pick up little quotes, little comments, little snide pushback here and there.
Yeah.
You're like, whoop, there's a red flag.
Right.
That's the tip of an iceberg. What's underneath that?
Well, and I'm never a challenging person in my personal life ever.
No,
of
you're
course not.
very easygoing, laid
Yeah.
back, accommodating. You just want everybody to feel good around you.
Yeah, just get along.
Yeah. If our listeners are hearing a loud beeping, that's our sarcasm detector going off.
Yeah. But I always, I'd heard, the Bible over say, test me, test the Lord, find out what's true. And so I was like, okay, well, I'm going to test it in full measure then.
Yeah, 1 Thessalonians 5:21, test all things, hold fast to what is true.
Yeah.
Great
Right.
verse.
Right. Gideon tested the Lord and
Right.
came to conclusions. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to test every aspect of this. And after that took about 1.5 years of study, of just trying to study as many of the, top scholars in any other religion or worldview, and ultimately came away that all of this is incredibly both unfulfilling and doesn't have a moral clarity to it or a logical progression that makes sense.
Mm.
And so I said, okay, well, now it's time to go back to the Bible and actually study the Bible now. And I didn't come to faith through an altar call and then a worship experience, through emotion. It was very much so taking classes over at Trinity College, the college classes that they would offer.
Hmm.
Um, I can't remember his name now. He was a longtime family friend. And just
Pastor Cole?
no. He was he ran the college.
Oh, I can't think of his name.
You know
Anyway,
exactly who
I
I'm
know.
thinking of.
Yeah,
Yeah, good dude.
Ron Harden.
Ron Harden.
Yep.
There it is. And
Great guy, Ron Harden.
such a great guy.
Became the president of Epic Bible College.
Mhm.
Eventually, great guy. Back then, actually, he was the president then too.
He
It was
was.
just called the Trinity Bible College. I think,
Trinity.
back then.
Yeah. And he was
Great guy.
He was doing classes on apologetics and on defending the faith. And I went in very skeptical. I had already at that point decided, no, Christianity is probably, it's the only thing that's left that makes any logical sense, but I'm still going to go in with skepticism.
Right.
And at the end of, that was another 6 months, came away going, okay, yeah, this is my belief, and this is it. This is it. This is what I'm going to dedicate my life to then.
No. And so it was just through a process partially of elimination, but what I loved about that journey that you were on is the brutal honesty. And you need to be brutally honest with yourself. If you're not, then what you believe, you can't borrow it from somebody else.
No.
It's not really your belief.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all throughout Scripture, and it's got to be for yourself. I mean, all the way from the time of the Passover, the first Passover.
Right.
You got to bring it into your own home, and it's got to be yours.
Yeah, no, this is actually a mistake that I think a lot of times people make is they don't understand the definition of they don't have an understanding of what belief is,
Right.
Where it's like belief isn't status. You know how
No.
like on your phone you can go into a status of like put everything on silent.
Yeah.
Right. That's the mode that you're in. Or you go online and like you're in Microsoft Teams or whatever other program, and you switch over to being offline or
Right.
unavailable or whatever. Your belief isn't a status. Where people go, my status is Christian. Like if this was a virtual world or a video game, like what is the status above your head? Well, mine's Christian. It's like, no, your beliefs are the core of how you understand the world.
Right.
And just because you claim a certain belief so you can claim those rewards that are associated with that belief doesn't mean that you actually believe that thing. The way that you know that you believe what you believe is by what you do and how you live.
Right.
Yeah.
What are the actions of it?
Yeah. And so I loved this journey that you were on because you were essentially challenging your belief. I hated that you were in peril.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But the thing is, you are in greater peril by not going on the journey.
Yes.
Because
Right.
you were ascribing to a Christianity that wasn't yours.
Right. And it had to defend itself.
Yeah.
You know me, I love all things combative sports. I compete in it. You see guys that are, will rise up through the UFC, and you just hear stories. Man, they're so good in the gym. Their technique is great. They're just unbeatable. And then they get a little pushback in an actual fight and they crumble and fall.
Yeah.
Right. I had to challenge my belief. Otherwise, I mean, if I had my parents' belief, my upbringing, my childhood with that, if that was my faith, it would have crumbled, immediately upon being an adult, moving out and being on my own.
Yeah. I mean, look, your belief system unchallenged.
It was brittle.
Well, your belief system is only valuable. It only matters when you need it.
Right.
It doesn't matter when you don't need it. It's like, well, I believe in this, type of religion or this worldview. Great. As long as your life is good, swap it out with any other religion. Nothing changes.
Right.
It only matters when things suck. It only matters when you come through hardship. That's when you test it and you see, is this really good or not? And it's funny because we know this. I mean, we know this with everything. It's like, oh, this is the best tool. This is the best hammer. Okay, put it through a full day of work. And every hammer is the best hammer if it sits on the wall.
Yeah.
But once you actually start using the hammer, that's where you see what's actually good or not.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
It's the same thing with belief systems. Yeah, so I remember those years, and I think that the greatest danger that people can have is to have a unchallenged belief system.
It's so dangerous.
Because you can live your entire life in comfort and in safety.
Right.
And then you could fall into the deception of thinking that because you go to church, because you say the right things, because you dress the right way, that means that you're going to be saved, that you are saved, that when you die, you're going to go to heaven. And it would be the worst thing in the world to live in this false reality that you have a relationship with Jesus when you don't.
Lord, Lord, we did all these things.
Right.
I never knew you.
Yeah. And the
Right.
thing that he says is, you didn't do enough things.
Right.
No, he doesn't say you didn't do the right things. He just said, I didn't know you.
Yeah.
And it's funny because their focus was on what they did.
Mm-hmm.
And Jesus' focus is on was, do you know me?
Right.
And that's the whole kicker.
Right.
And so you were in a dangerous place that was comfortable, and then you chose, which takes courage, to go, well, what do I actually believe?
Right.
And then you went down that journey, and then you were
Well, and
honest
it-
with yourself, so you arrived.
Yeah, and it was more just I hate the idea of wasting my own time. And so I don't want to dedicate my life to something that I don't know can stand the test of time.
Right.
Right. You know? I mean, in certain cases, I would love it if I wasn't a Christian, man. It would be so much easier.
Oh, yeah.
Going through the world would be so much easier, you know? And at certain times, I was like, man, if I could be an atheist in this one belief system, my life would be so easy. And it would maybe even logically make sense.
Mm.
But I don't care if it logically makes sense. I need to know what's true.
Right. Yeah. And a lot of that is also deception, where it's
Yeah.
like, man, it looks like this would be easier, but when you get into it, it's like, you know what? There's just an emptiness that I didn't expect, or there's, you know, you know,
We talk about, man, if I could write the Bible, it'd be one page and half of it's a color book. You know, I know what I want to do with my money. I want to sleep with who I want to sleep with. I know very well how I would deal with my enemies, but it's not what
Right.
the Bible says, because it's not true.
because it's not true.
Right.
It's a self-deception.
Right.
Yeah. No, man, it's been a wild journey. And so, okay, so you came to the Lord, and then what did your journey look like from there?
So
you went to
from-
school, you had that experience, you decided, this is who I am, this is what I
Right.
believe. Okay, now it comes time to apply,
Yeah.
to live it practically.
Right. And I had no idea how to do that. You know, it not just because this was a new thing for me. I grew up in the church from the time I was born. You know, was dedicated as a baby in the church.
Right.
But
Never stopped attending church.
no, always still going, mostly because, you know, through force of fear by your parents.
Right.
And you know, my childhood, it was a bad childhood.
You had no choice. Yeah.
You know, you said once to me, the fact that any of me or my siblings are functioning members of society is nothing short of a miracle.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was a very, very bad childhood. And so I had to relearn everything.
Right.
I didn't know
Right.
anything about how to be a Christian, I didn't know how to be a man. And that's why I got so attracted to what the youth group was doing, because you were leading it. And I was like, that's a man I can follow.
What did you see from your perspective that the youth ministry was doing that attracted you to it?
It was very real and authentic about what we are. You for those of you that are Romanian, you will completely understand this. You are never allowed to be anything but perfect in your outward appearance.
That's how you felt going through it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You go to, I mean, again, not a great childhood, but on the outside, very pristine, family's good. You know, you show up to church. There's no such thing as depression in our culture. There's no such thing as having, you know, problems at home. You're just good. Everything's great. We're perfect. We're Christian.
Yeah, the fear of, in Romanian, we say, "Čo sa zică lumea,"
Yeah.
right? So, nu mă faci de
Right.
rușine, right? The mentality of,
Yes.
what are people going to say, and don't bring shame to the family.
Yes. Everything is about the family, making the family look good.
Right.
And so I hated that.
Yeah, we were really big into branding. We just didn't know that we were such marketing geniuses, you know?
Well, I mean, from my perspective, because that's the childhood I grew up in. I thought surely nobody else is having these problems,
Right.
and so these guys have it all figured out. Everyone at the youth, man, they've got the greatest parents on the planet. Their parents actually love them. They know they're doing life. I got to get part of this.
And so you started coming to youth night, and then we launched our small group discipleship ministry with Doru Pintile,
Yeah.
which when we first launched it, the first time through was 20 years ago, where Doru and I co-led together a leadership group that ran for about a year and a half. And then after that, we went on, we felt like accomplished what we wanted to do with it. We went on a pause for 6 months while we planned, and then we launched. And then we'd even have a brother from Romania, Brother Makoviciuk, who would come once a year and also teach, kind of be a part of that entire system and process. And so in that teaching, Doru's style really helped grounded us. Doro Pintile
Yes.
style helped grounded us with a standard of honesty, of truth, and of excellence in how we read Scripture and how we interpret Scripture.
Right.
Which I know that was extremely attractive to you because
Very.
we
Well,
weren't.
because what I don't like is you go to a Bible study, and I'll see it now going to, churches out in, Nevada where I'm at. You show up to Bible study. Well, I feel that this passage is this. And it's like, I don't care what you think
Right.
any more than you should care what I think about this.
Correct.
What does Jesus say about this?
Yeah.
Right.
What-
That's what I want to get to.
What argument can you build out of the text
Right.
that can be proven out of the text, or at least argued out of the text?
Right.
Yeah.
And so that I love that, because he would literally say, I don't care what you think.
Yeah.
Show me in the Bible.
Yeah. You remember he would sit at the table and he would keep his hands like this. He would just sit there like the table and he would go, and just let you answer.
And you think you're onto something.
Yeah, and the way he would answer, you would think to yourself, "Oh, I'm doing a good job."
Yep.
and you had no idea he was drawing you in. Like he's just letting you give yourself enough rope to hang yourself, and then he would, "Are you done?" Yeah, he's very polite. Are you done? Yeah, yeah. I think so. What do you think? We're all, everybody else is like in their teens. I was in my 20s.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Okay. Where in the passage do you see that it says that?" He would just yell at you.
Every time. But it made you like a little bit of a mini scholar.
It did, because it forced us, if we continued keeping ourselves against the grindstone that was Doru,
Right.
who held a rigid standard,
Yes.
very well,
Standard of excellence every time.
huge standard of excellence, very well read,
Yeah.
extremely well read. I mean, the man was just voracious in his appetite for reading.
Right.
And so he would sit there and he would grind. It was, it was abrasive. It was like sandpaper. But what he had was a treasure that we all saw, and we were like, man, we want that. And then my role was the relational part. So
Right.
I was, building relationship with everybody, and then also helping guide that same kind of structure. But that rigidity, where we would read 14 chapters a week every week. So everybody read 2 chapters a day, every day. Every day when you read 2 chapters, we would sit down and we would
Take
underline
notes.
the subject, the object, right, where it's talking about Christ, and break everything down and then bring together our notes. But what ended up happening was you had all of these people in their teens, and they were coming together, and you guys were coming and saying, hey, I believe that in chapter 6 that we read this week on Wednesday, this verse matters to me, and here's why. Because the subject said this, the object was in verse 2, this was this, and you could build an argument.
Yeah.
And if you did well, Dodo was like, man, such a great moment. And how many times would he sit there and get choked up?
Yeah.
Right.
Every time.
All the time, where he would be like, that's such a powerful revelation
Right.
about how you unpack that text. And we were like, yeah, I
did it.
Yeah,
Well, and because when we were part of that, or when I was part of that, rather, I was still in the skeptic of Christianity journey.
Right.
Right. Because I didn't come back as an actual Christian until after I got baptized, joining your group.
Right.
After
Small group discipleship.
after I had relaunched. And so that was so valuable. If I had gone to, just a run-of-the-mill Bible study, I don't think that I would have developed the Christianity that I have now. It'd be very weak.
No, I get it. Yeah, it'd be emotional based, and not that there isn't a place for emotions. There is, but that was that was what was necessary. You know? And so, with Dodo, going through all of those books, I learned a bunch. We all learned a bunch, and then sitting down and unpacking it further. I remember after we had finished the leadership group, we had launched the small groups. The very first time, which was more Bible study focused and teaching, and they didn't function.
No, they died very quickly.
They did. Yeah, within 6 months it was gone.
Right.
And it was like, man, we've planned this for a year and a half. We invested for a year and a half. We took a 6-month break to plan. We launched, and I thought it was going to be like the launch, you know? And then 6 months later, we had gone from like 60 people in attending to 50, 40, 30 to like 8. And then we paused, and then we went on break for 6 months. And then we launched again. And again, this time we did it like girls and guys groups. So we kind of, try to make them gender specific. And then they kind of started to take off, and then they dwindled and disappeared again.
Right.
And I remember there was a youth conference. And a man who's a friend of mine and a friend of yours, a man you know as well, Lee Muntian.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Lee comes to me, and he was doing men's ministry at Emmanuel Church in SoCal. And I remember the last time we had talked, we were both excited because we were both launching these two ministries.
Mm-hmm.
So I bumped into him at this, I think it was a youth conference, or maybe it was one of the big conventions. And I bumped into him and I was like, I don't want to tell him about how
It failed again.
Yeah, not going well. I didn't even know if I was going to launch it a third time, or I didn't know what I was going to do.
Right.
And he was going to ask me about it because he saw me and I saw him, and that's the last thing we talked about.
Right.
Right. So I see Lee and I go over to him and I was like, hey man, how's it going with this and that? And he's like, man, I asked him first. And he's like, well, with the men's ministry, it started off really strong, and, there's a lot of excitement in the beginning. And now it's kind of, shrank down a little bit, and we're going to modify it and change some things. We have some different plans. So I could tell he didn't really want to talk about it a bunch for the same reason why I want to talk about, what I was doing. But mine was completely gone. Like we went on
It's dead
break.
in the water.
Yeah, we went on break after a second, failure attempt, essentially, because we couldn't launch. The culture wasn't geared for what we were trying to do, and the model wasn't geared. So what happened was Lee asks me the question I was dreading, and he goes, tell me about small group discipleship. How's that going? And I didn't know what I was going to do at that point in time. If I was going to relaunch or what. And Lee says to me, yeah, how's it going? And it was one of the few moments in my life where I really felt God's presence in that place.
Yeah.
And I began explaining to Lee what I realized only years later, prophetically, what I was going to do from there forward. So I found out as I was telling Lee, which I realized years later, it was the Lord telling Lee. I found out when Lee found out what I was going to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was hearing my own self in my head going, oh, I guess that's
what the Lord says.
Because you know me, I'm not a very physical, touchy-feely guy.
No.
We grew up 5 brothers, And so what ended up happening was Lee asked me, so what are you going to do? And I said, Lee, I reached across and I grabbed his hand. So I'm now holding his hand. Awkward.
You've never done that.
Ever in my life. All right.
Holding another man's hand.
in a lobby of a church. It was so uncomfortable, but I just felt like I needed to communicate this so powerfully in the moment. I reached across and I grabbed his hand and I'm holding his hand and I go, Lee, I said, I've launched it 3 times since our first time. I said, and now we're closed down because we're on break and I don't know what I'm going to do. I said, but listen to me. I go, if it fails 30 times, I'm going to launch it 31.
Yeah.
And I remember saying that to him. And in my head, I was like, oh, I guess we're relaunching. Cool. I just found out.
That's what we're doing.
Yeah. And he's like, man, that's so awesome. I'm excited for you.
Yeah.
And when we launched the 3rd time, that was on March 19, and it just took off from there.
Yeah. And that's when I joined.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. 'Cause I think that was after.
We changed the model at that point.
And I think that was after Peniel.
It was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that was the first year that I had become an actual Christian. And after that is when I joined you guys.
Yeah. And when we launched that 3rd time, because the first 2 times I wasn't leading anything.
Right.
Like the first 2 launches, I was just managing the organization, but I wasn't the main teacher in the room.
Right.
And what we realized, just kind of assessing and adjusting and everything else, was, okay, this model, it was a Bible study model. This is not what I'm trying to do.
No.
This is not going to function. The culture was too ingrained in show up, have desks and tables and studios. And I realized we got to get out of the institution of the building and get into people's homes.
Yeah.
So we can have a real practical conversation about scripture with a solid basis of biblical hermeneutics, which we already gained.
Yeah.
So that's when we shifted and we went into gender-specific groups. We had 3 groups when we launched, 2 girls groups and 1 guys group. And I met with the guys group at my house, and then the girls met in their own homes. And then from there, the group grew, and then we split. And then Dadiu took a group, and then he launched. And then Andrew B. Sean taught with Jay. You guys were co-leaders together. Yeah. And then Adi was a co-leader with
Sam?
With Sammy Huletz, and then after that, his group grew and split, and then in the end, and then even the girls, they kept on growing and splitting, and I know Damaris Phillip and Becky Katuna and Jenny Hurduk and Mona Moise, Dadi's wife.
Yeah.
So all of these different people were leading and multiplying. It grew to where we had 7 groups at one point. 80
we had
students.
A lot of people in there.
Yeah, and what was wild was we were meeting once a week, every week. Same book, same chapter, same. Everybody's in the same kind of, structure, same place in Scripture, same methodology, same model.
Right.
And the teachers weren't sitting there teaching for an hour and a half.
Yeah.
We were facilitating healthy biblical hermeneutics,
right.
And that made all the difference. I got to say, the key difference that I think that was made was this simple idea, giving a good framework for how to interpret Scripture to all of the people in attendance, So you equip them with good framework, good
Yeah.
structure, and then you create an environment for them to, once they study throughout the week, to unpack using their tools. So they would
Right.
gain a great, tremendous amount of success. They're all college students, so they
Mhm.
weren't in high school being told what to do. They're now in college having some more ownership, discussions,
Right.
debates, things like that. And now we could do that here in Scripture.
Right.
And the big difference that it made was it forced everybody to go home, spend time in the Word, read the Bible, be sensitive to the Holy Spirit, use the tools that they were equipped with to do healthy hermeneutics,
Mhm.
and the Lord would speak to them in those moments. So
Right.
it was developing the personal relationship with Jesus. And then we would come back together once a week and celebrate
Right.
the development of the personal relationship with Jesus.
Right. And on top of that, because you say we'd meet once a week, in reality, we met every day.
Oh, we were together all the time.
Right.
Like our small group discipleship meeting was once a week.
Right.
But we were together every day for many
Right.
days a lot of times.
Right. And that was the difference between a Bible study versus discipleship, is because we talk about it all the time. John Eldridge is one of our favorite authors and
Yeah.
speakers, and that Hard and Fathered by God, if you guys haven't read him, especially for the men,
Oh, yeah.
required reading, not non-negotiable. But he talks about the principle of fatherhood and masculinity has to be passed shoulder by shoulder.
Yeah.
You can't teach it at someone. You have to do it with them.
You have to go through it.
Right. And yeah, so it was, I'd be sitting at home reading something, and back in the day, I could basically pick up a rock and hit your house with it
Yeah.
from my place. And I'd read something that I'd have to get over there and like, dude, Eddie, this is what I figured out.
Yeah.
And we'd all just always be together.
Yeah.
Just about every day.
Yeah. I mean, we were together a lot, man.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like a burden, and it wasn't like a full-time job, because that's what people don't understand about small group discipleship is they're like, well, okay, whenever I'm meeting with people that I'm, investing in and discipling, then that's,
I have to put on my mentor hat.
yeah, I have to put on the mentor
Yeah.
hat and show up as the sage on the stage and sit down and, pour into his life, and we're going to sit down and have coffee, and that's dedicated time. There was dedicated time, but
Yeah.
most times it was in the course of regular life.
Right.
Because our Christianity isn't supposed to be that we leave regular life to do Christianity. Our Christianity it's supposed to be interwoven in our regular life.
Right.
So I'd be working on something, and he'd be like, hey, man, I'm reading this. Can I come and chat with you about it? Like, man, I'm in the middle of, changing an axle on this car. Yeah, come over. Make sure you bring some dirty clothes.
Yep.
And we'd lay down underneath the car and change and do, or we'd be building something, or be swinging a hammer, and
Yeah.
shoulder to shoulder, we'd talk and we'd pause. Would it slow down the work? Yeah, but we were doing other work as well.
Right.
And so that's where discipleship happened.
Right.
Plus, at the same time, it's like, with you or with other guys, it'd be like, great, why don't we sit here and unpack this experience that you're having in your life? And I'm going to teach you how to properly change rotors.
Right.
Like,
Well, and that's what attracted me to the group was, for those of you that don't know my dad, very, very hard man, you beat me and my brothers, because the sun came up and whipped us just because it set.
Right.
And I mean, I grew up from the time I was 10, 11 years old doing construction with him. And it was all, he didn't teach you. It was just, you shut up, you sit down, and you do what you're told, and we're going to, just work at it. But
Yeah.
there was I remember once, there was one great day that he had taken me to job site. I was maybe 15, and we had, for some reason or other, he was in a mood to have conversation about life and imparting wisdom and, his journey coming from Romania. And I remember coming home and telling him, like, Mom, I just had a great day with Dad at work for 18 hours. But that wasn't the norm.
no,
It was very, very rare, but that's what we had.
that was our norm all
Right.
the time.
It was just, hey, I'm chopping some wood up. I got to build the table. I got to do something.
Yeah.
And the conversations were just about masculinity, Christ, how to do life.
Yep.
And at the same time, I was learning how to be a man.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's what is incredibly missing in society today, that we
Right.
don't have men investing in other men.
Right.
Because we recorded just a few days ago with all six of us about masculinity, manhood, brotherhood. What does that mean? And I know that one of the things that we had talked about there as well was just about how much we are lacking in men investing in men and doing brotherhood together. Because like my kids, they have my wife and I to come to. My wife,
Right.
she has me to come to. I don't go to anybody in my family.
No.
I go outside of my family to other men or to the Lord.
Right.
And don't get me wrong, it's not like I keep my wife in the dark and I don't, tell her about different things, but my wife gains her security from me. So if I tell her, hey, I'm falling apart,
Yeah.
that's going to create a very difficult place for her.
Naturally.
Yeah, and I'm not going to put her through that, And I know that, there are times and there are exceptions, and I get all of that. But what I am saying is, I think that a really healthy home is one where you're walking together through that journey, but everybody in their role.
Yeah.
Look, there are certain conversations I don't have with the kids. There are certain conversations I don't have with my wife. And it's not because I keep her in the dark or I'm not transparent with her. No. She's like, look, I don't know how to help you with that. Look, I'll give you an example. I've had young women call me and my wife and ask us for mentoring, and they'd say, how do I get my husband to lead me? And my answer to them is, you can't.
Right.
It's not your role.
Because then you're still leading him to lead you.
Because then you're leading him to lead you.
Right.
And I go, so the greatest way that you can get him to lead you is, one, by being a good follower.
Yeah.
And helping him lead by following his leadership.
Right.
And the answer sometimes came back, like this one time, this young lady goes, okay, but what if I don't like where he's leading me?
Well, then you're not a follower.
Then you're not following.
Right.
So you want him to lead you how you want to be led, when you want to be led.
Right.
Then
okay, Ryan, calm down.
Yeah, from The Office, And so my encouragement to, young ladies that might find themselves in that position, well, what do you do if your husband isn't leading you? What if he's not spiritually leading you? Well, what you can do, because that's a hard place to be for a young lady.
Yeah.
Very hard place. So my encouragement to them was, hey, help him find a brotherhood.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Like go to a church where they have a good men's ministry, for example, and say, hey, can we go here? And then do everything that you can to encourage, masculine time for him and other men. Because as men, we need role models to look at one another and go, man, I want to be like that.
100%.
And so if you're, not that you want to lead or steer your family because it's your husband, right? But here's the thing. My wife isn't going to tell me where we can go. Yeah. My wife isn't going to sit there and lead me and say, we need to go to this church. But, and this is what I feel like women need to understand in this specific instance. If my wife says to me, honey, the journey that we're going on, I can't make it. Dude, I would move heaven and earth to make it so that way she can make it.
Right.
If she says, I don't want you to do this. I'm not telling you to do this. I'm saying I need this. Could you please help me? Dude, you're my wife. You're my woman. You're my girl. Like, what do you mean help you? You don't even have to ask.
Right.
Just make it known, and I'm going to move heaven and earth for you.
Right. She's part of you.
100%.
It's like help me to help myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if she says, hey, I really want to grow spiritually. Would you please help me grow spiritually?
What are you going to do? Obvious.
I'm obviously going to go and figure out how to grow myself spiritually so I can lead you.
Right.
So if your husband isn't leading you spiritually the way that, you're hoping your husband will, tell him, hey, I want to grow spiritually. Could you please help me?
Yeah.
And then you let him figure that out.
Yeah. If he's a good man, he will move mountains to do it.
It's not going to look great in the beginning. He may not lead you the way that you want to be led. Sure. But that's the point of leading.
Right.
Leadership matters whenever it is that it's hard, not when it's easy.
Right.
And so, to the young ladies out there, if you find yourself in that situation, I would just do everything that you can in your power to facilitate, saying, hey, this is what I need. Would you please lead me? And secondly, if he's like, hey, I'm going to go to like this men's thing. And you're like, well, I need you at home to do X, Y, and Z. Back off of that.
Yeah.
He can do X, Y, and Z on a different day.
Right.
Let him go that day.
Right.
Because that's investing in that part of, do whatever you can. Hey, can we, like if he's like, I was thinking of, meeting up with the guys, but we don't know whose house to meet. Oh, let me cook. I'll cook and have the guys come here and then leave them alone. So facilitate that to the degree that you can. That would be my advice.
When a lot of them get upset, like, oh, my husband's going out golfing again with his buddies, or they're out, watching. Guys need something to do.
Yeah.
Right. So like I'll have conversations with young men, like, and they'll say, I want to be mentored by this guy, but it's awkward to ask him, like, hey, can you mentor me how to be a man?
It's a weird question.
Awkward. It's very awkward.
Super awkward.
You know how you get around that, guys? Hey, Eddie, can I come over to your house? Like, I'm trying to learn how to like bow hunt. Yep. Can I bring my bow over, and I know you do. Can you help me out with this?
That's it.
And then where does that go? It's gonna lead into conversations and doing, life shoulder to shoulder. He's gonna teach you. You're gonna glean off of that, and it just grows that way.
100%. Yeah.
Right.
And if I can give some advice to young men, many times it's happened in my life where young men will struggle with their own insecurities, and they'll be like, well, I don't want anybody to teach me, because they have this caricature of masculinity, of needing to be like this lone wolf, God knows what. And so they'll come alongside of you, they'll glean a bunch of stuff, and then they'll be like, oh, like I'm self-made, I never had.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it's like, no, dude, you got to give honor where honor's due. You got to
Right.
recognize that, because here's the thing. You might be fine now that you've gleaned and grown, but you need a relationship
Yeah.
as time progresses. Like I have a mentor in my life, Fred Garman, and I have other men that I look to, like my dad, that I look at and I glean, things out of, and I ask questions to, and I say, hey, would you please help me understand? Does that mean that I go to my dad, for example, my actual dad? Do I go to him for guidance and direction in every aspect of my life? No, what does he know about podcasts? You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
He told me a funny story, and he goes, I don't know about this whole podcast thing. He goes, but he goes, maybe I'm like that gypsy lady that was yelling at her son, where she's like, I raised you to sing Manela, and you ruined our family name by going and becoming a doctor. He goes, maybe I'm like that. He goes, I don't know anything about this, so I'll advise you on what I know.
Right.
But at the same time, you also have brothers and stuff around you. This lone wolf thing is not good masculinity.
Oh, it's so dangerous.
It super is.
And that was me for a long time, kind of is a little bit now. I'm out in a new state, kind of doing my own thing, and it gets real dangerous isolation, man. What?
Yeah.
Who got affected more by COVID, men or women?
Mm.
Men, because we couldn't meet and do things.
Yeah.
It's been debilitating for a lot of men during that, and isolation will kill you. But at the same time, I get it. I want to be, I can figure it out. I'm a man.
Right.
Figure it out.
Right. And so there's those two things together where it's hard to marry them sometimes. But it's so healthy, to have a brotherhood, to have fellowship, to have men that invest in one another, to give honor where honor is due. Because what ends up happening is, we talked about this in the last podcast, where like the things that hinder me from like investing in people is whenever I'm arrogant, or the things that hinder me being invested in by other people is whenever I'm arrogant, and it's just that arrogance that's so revealing of vulnerabilities and insecurities. But, when you love people, you work through all of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But sorry.
No, go ahead.
Yeah. And, so we're going through this journey. Yeah. You would come over all the time and we just work on different things. It was good times, man.
Yeah.
Really good times.
A lot of good memories, man.
Yeah. Everything from, I'm chopping wood today. Great. Here's the correct way to swing an axe. Here's how you sink. Here's how you split. I used to split a bunch of wood for my grandpa. Summers, one after another,
Right.
And it's like, well, here's how you do this. What? Here's how you sharpen an axe. Here's how you don't break the handle. Right. So you go through all of that. Yesterday I was splitting wood at a friend's house. Last week I split a bunch of wood. I still split wood all the time.
Yeah.
And what's awesome, man, is every time I'm splitting wood, I think about times that you and I were splitting wood. I think about times that me and John and Stoika. I think about times me and Adi.
Right.
I think about me and all these other guys and all these like different journeys we've been on. And it's just like every time I'm splitting wood, I remember all of that. And it's such a cool journey,
Yeah.
man.
Because if guys that don't have it, they're looking in, they're like, okay, you guys are cutting wood. What's the big deal? Best conversations ever.
The best.
Right.
Yeah.
That's where we learned how to be men.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it wasn't the act of splitting the wood. It
No.
was the rubbing shoulders with someone else that we looked up to that had the masculine characteristics that we want in ourselves and stealing those from you.
There's a saying in Romanian, meseria nu se învețe, se fură.
Yep.
Which is skills aren't learned, they're stolen.
Exactly. Exactly.
But no, and the other part that I think, people don't understand unless they go through it is we'll sit there. Like, for example, I remember sitting with Mark, and I can't remember what we were doing. It might have been splitting wood. It might have been something else. But the thought process behind everything is really the key. Hey, whenever you're driving, for example, let's take splitting wood. Whenever you're driving an axe head in, you're always trying to look at what's past the wood. Because if you screw up, and that's where you're going to end up with a axe head in your shin, And then from there, it would totally be a metaphor into something else, where it's like, it's the same thing here. Like, that thing that you're working on right now in your life that you're growing in, whatever it is, you gotta keep in mind what's after that.
Yeah.
And it would just
I had
flow
no
into
idea
those.
that's what you were doing. I had no idea what I was doing. I was like, I'm hanging out with my buddy Eddie.
Yeah. Yeah.
And now you're like, Eddie knew what he was doing about that, right?
Well, it's like a Karate Kid.
It really is.
You're not just painting a fence, you're teaching something else in that process.
Right.
But that's the way that we lived our lives, and we still do.
Yeah.
Like, I'll be working by myself, and I'll be like, man. How many times has that happened in your life where you're working on something by yourself, and you're like, man, this is exactly like that other thing that I'm going through right now. I got to do things with excellence, man. Nobody's looking. It doesn't matter. I can't cut this corner. I'm by myself installing this baseboard. I know no one's going to notice it, but
Yeah.
I can't because I have to have the integrity to myself.
Right.
You know, and little things like that, why it matters. See, this is why when you're late, it matters because you're betraying yourself first.
All the time.
Right? And we'd have these conversations, and those are the foundational things that would lay in like, man, this is what it means to be a man of integrity and to have good character. Well, once you had good character, it built in self-validation and self-confidence. And now
Right.
all of a sudden you're projecting something else different, and now you're all envisioning a different future for yourself. And all of those things change, but it starts in the little things.
Right. Right.
Yeah, many good conversations. But so we would have those years together, and then I remember we went through Wild at Heart
Oh,
as a group. Dude, that
the worst best book you've ever read in your life.
yeah,
I'm telling you, I force every young guy that is in my life to read that book.
yeah.
Every single one.
So I had read it like twice at that point in time, and I was like just praying through it, just praying through this idea, talking to the Lord, because we were still going through Bible study. We were all still in the same book, same chapter of the Bible, and then alongside of that, we added Wild at Heart,
Yeah.
and we would go a chapter a week. And I remember people were like, "Okay, we bought all the books." I remember Chris Sharkey and James Toderean and all these other guys were like, "All right, I guess more reading, whatever." After the first chapter, all of that
Went away.
it was gone
Yeah.
instantly. Like people would show up 30 minutes early and they're like, "Bro, this one." I'm like, "Wait,
Yeah.
save it for the discussion."
Well, we would always show up at your place an hour before and just kind of hang out.
Just hang out.
Get-
Yeah.
Almost to just warm up the primer and just, get ready for conversation. We're like, can we just start?
Yeah.
We're not going to have enough time to get through everything.
100%. And
Yeah.
the way that we would structure it is people would come over and everybody would pick up fast food, whatever, after college, after work.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? And everybody would come over. You check your baggage from the day at the door. And we'd sit down for about 30 minutes and just eat and relax. And then after that, get into the discussion. But when we were going through that book, man, we were so amped that we were like, all right, like man, for the people listening, think about this. You had roughly 80 college age young people.
Mm-hmm.
These are millennials in college at this point.
Yep.
Right. Roughly 80 of them that every week on bated breath, full of anticipation, they were looking forward and couldn't wait till getting together with all of their friends to sit down in a group of 10, 12, 15, 16 people and discuss what they read in scripture, what experiences they had with God that week, and to unpack, look at the revelation that I had. And everybody was doing that every single week. And next year, it'll be 20 years since we launched.
Long time, man. Yeah.
Dude, that's the dream.
Dude, it was the best time of
Yeah.
my life. It was, I mean, no amount of growth, compared to the growth that we were dealing with then.
It was
Or,
huge.
like, I mean, the friendships are now lifelong from that.
Lifelong.
Right.
Those are people that we went through hardship with.
Yeah.
Those are people that every week we would sit down and we'd go through small group discipleship, and we would go through Wild at Heart. And it would be hard to start the conversation with all of these guys in their, late teens, early 20s. And one guy would want to share right away, and it would just be tears.
Yeah.
I mean, just like, man, I'm going to deal with the hurts that I have in my heart between me and my dad, or me and my family, me and my brothers, or things that happened to me. And we would just bring it out and, just have this brother that's like, dude, like, this guy's my ride or die. Like,
Yeah.
I'm with this guy,
Yeah.
and we've built friendships and forged friendships that have lasted a lifetime since
Right.
then. Yeah, but every week we'd come together and there wouldn't be a dry eye in the place, man.
No.
Like, we're like looking at the floor all uncomfortable.
Like, I'm a stoic guy, not
Yeah.
much shakes me emotionally. That broke me.
yeah, dude.
Dude, it broke me.
Hearing different stories from different guys' lives, and it also like gave us so much vulnerability and closeness because we were like, dude, I'm not the only one struggling, and
Yeah.
and I wasn't sitting there just teaching.
No.
I would be like, all right, let's talk. What spoke to you and why? And
Right.
then different people would talk, and then I would add a little bit here and there. I'd pull out, man, I really love this thing because that totally relates to what Jonathan said, last week, and then. Jonathan, what you said this week, it totally tied into what, Mark's prayer request was, or John's prayer request. And we would look and see all of the connections. And the Holy Spirit was so powerful and present in that place, but it wasn't unique to our group.
Yeah.
It was all of them.
Right.
Everybody was having these experiences with God. And it was such a tremendous time of like healing and of growth.
Right.
And I loved those years. And I don't think that the years today are any less.
No, not at all. But I mean, it's like it's almost really like the start of your faith. Just explodes in a ball
Yeah.
of fire, and it's just really hot and passion, and then it's raw and it's very, very new.
Right.
And now it's a settled consistency.
Yeah.
But no less. No less.
Yeah, and it's different. It's like being in a relationship. In the beginning, it's hey fire,
The honeymoon
and then
phase.
yeah, and then later on, it's these deep coals that cannot be quenched.
Right.
You know, and much more intense, but not as flashy. And
Right.
that's great. Like I'm very happy to be here.
It's actually what you want.
Yeah, it's actually what you want. It's that
Right.
solid foundation.
Mm-hmm.
You know, in the description that I gave of our small group meetings, that's exactly what it was like every week. But adding to that was what you added, which is, but we were together all the time.
Yeah.
So like for our listeners, like, man, imagine coming to a small group meeting like that during your formative years, having these great experiences. And then we would go running afterwards, and then we go to Safeway and buy a bunch of like food and stuff, and then cook it up at my dad's house until like 2 a.m. And the next day people would be at college or work or whatever. And then the next day or 2 days later, you'd hit me up and you're like, hey man, can I come by your place? And what are you working on? Oh, I got this different project right now. Yeah, come on by. So you'd come by and we'd spend 3 hours together, but we would be building on our conversation from small group discipleship just 2 days ago.
Right.
Right. And then, an hour and a half into hanging out, Jay would come over and then we'd, kick it and we'd go get some food somewhere and
It'd be
laugh.
the same thing.
Yeah. And then I'd have to take off. So then you guys would just continue on. And then next week we'd get back together and Adi would be like, dude, we were in James Toderean's shed in his backyard and just having prayer, just the two of us. And we prayed until 3 or 4 a.m. And here's what God did in our lives. And we'd all celebrate. Man, that's what the church was.
Right.
It was, in the early years, it was Christians going out, living out their Christianity and getting back together, from time to time and all throughout the week, just meeting together and celebrating what it is that the Lord did all throughout the week in their own. We paired off just 2 of us, came back together with the whole group and told them what happened and testified and bore witness to what we experienced. And we went back out and
right. Which is the funny thing, because now you go to, back then when I was still living in Sac with all of you, I'd go to a large American church. I love the church, Bayside Church. They do a lot of good stuff.
They did. Yeah. Great.
They still do. They're
yeah.
very, very involved in the community and outreach and missions. And then I'd come to the Romanian church with you guys in the evenings. And then you'd go back to the American churches, and they do a lot of things well. They have their own type of fellowship, but it was always this manufactured. We're going to try to get into this Acts type fellowship. It's like, but that's just the church,
right?
That's just how it's supposed to be. You don't have to conjure it.
Yeah, that's the thing. You don't have to conjure it.
Yeah,
and pros and cons.
There is.
The American church has its pros, absolutely.
Yeah,
and it also has some things that it needs to grow in.
Right.
The Eastern European church has some great things in it. The church that you find in missions for anybody who's ever been on missions outside of America has some great things in it. Definitely has some things it has to grow in as well. And so we obviously don't deconstruct the church. I know that you and I, believe very strongly on that. But at the same time, we're also not going to fall into the trap of saying, no, everything's perfect and nobody can say anything bad and nobody can be critical of anything. No, you got to call out what it is.
Yeah.
And we're going to tell the truth and let the pieces fall where they may. And some people may not like that.
Right.
But I think,
like we were talking about over the weekend, because we've been together all week, is one of the primary jobs of a man is to be able to say no.
Yeah.
No to wickedness, no to complacency. Hey, let's do this. No. And just not budge on it.
Unpack that a little bit.
Well, I mean, at the core of it, it's, say in your own family, they want to go one way and you're the head, and your kids want to, do whatever harebrained thing that kids want to do that's probably going to hurt themselves. Your job is to say no.
But what if they get mad?
No, it doesn't matter.
What if they threaten the relationship?
No.
What if they kick up a giant fuss?
Good.
What if they gossip you?
Good. Still doesn't change the answer. It's still no.
What if they attack you?
Still no.
That is the burden of leadership.
Right.
Is to make the hard right choices over the easy wrong.
Right. And that's what men are called to do.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, there's my problems with the Romanian church that we've had over the years. And the way to stop it is just, no, we're not doing this. Just no.
Yeah. And people can do whatever they like.
Right.
But so can you.
Right.
And so can I.
Right.
And at the end of the day, we're going to be faithful to the burden that we have. And I am not going to apologize.
No.
At all.
I heard a great quote
for the relationship that I have with Jesus.
Yeah. I'm going through Tozer's book, The Dangers of a Shallow Faith.
Oh, wow.
Great book. And he's got a quote in there that I just love, that we have too much apology in our apologetics. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, we're going to keep the peace. We're going to say sorry for everything. And no,
Mhm.
that's not what the church is.
No, I saw this great quote where this guy's like, he goes, I need to talk about something that's very near and dear to me, and it's been on my heart for a long time. He goes, it's about men who beat their wives. He goes, and I have a lot of friends who beat their wives,
Hmm.
and I've known a lot of people who beat their wives, and they've been misjudged and misconstrued, by the church, and I think we need to take a hard stance in saying that yes, it is wrong, but we love these wife beaters, and they have a place here at our church. And he's like, doesn't this sound insane? He goes, why do we do that with homosexuality though? He goes, that's exactly what we do. I have a
Yeah.
lot of friends that are homosexual. I have a lot of,
Right.
and this church, we have a place for, so here's the thing. And he was just using that as an example.
Yeah.
Um, I understand that there is sin and that the church needs to be an open place for people who struggle with sin to be able to come,
Absolutely.
not just to be a part, but to find healing, transformation, restoration, restitution, and all of those things.
Right.
But we are so apologetic with certain sins and not with others.
Mhm.
And then some sins we recognize really hard. And then other sins we don't,
Right.
like apathy.
Right.
Right.
But what does that do to guys like you and me? You lose all credibility. The church loses all credibility with me.
Yeah. When leaders make bad decisions,
Mhm.
politely, kindly, I'll sit there and I'll go, oh, that's your judgment.
Right.
So either you know better and you're choosing poorly because of some political issue,
Mhm.
or you don't know better, so you don't have the capacity to lead well. It ruins
Right.
your credibility because either you don't have the character to make the right choice or the capacity.
Right. And we have this argument all the time. What's worse, ignorance or weakness?
Yeah. Yeah.
And both of them are just equally destructive.
Yeah. Yeah. We talk a lot about the differences between wickedness and weakness, right? Also.
Mhm.
And yeah, I think wickedness at a 1-to-1 ratio is worse.
Yeah.
But I think weakness at an overall creates far more damage than wickedness.
Yeah.
Because wickedness, you will identify and it'll get stopped.
Yeah.
But weakness, we excuse all the time, and it just erodes into 10,000 years of suffering. And
Right.
yeah, because I mean, what does it take for evil to thrive? It's for good men to do nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's that weakness coming in,
Right.
that fear of offense.
I can't stand it. I can't stand. I live to offend at this point.
Nice. I'd like to introduce to you my friend, overcorrection. I mean, Jonathan.
But I mean, we grew up in, unfortunately, a sad state of affairs of the church, whether it's the American church or the Eastern European church. There's politics played at all levels in both of them.
Right.
There's, in the West, it's a very feminized church. And then in the Eastern
It's
Europe,
a very legalistic church.
very legalistic, 1,000 rules for everything.
Yeah.
And I have no time for it.
Yeah, at the end of the day, you only have one life to live. And, at the end of the day, we have to make whatever choices we make. And then we have to deal with the consequences of those choices.
Right.
I had a young man reach out to me and he goes, hey, man, I have a friend of mine who's trying to be strong-armed into some sort of a decision by a leader in his church. Now, here's the thing with these, experiences that I've had. I'm only hearing one side of the story.
Sure.
I'm getting painted a specific, amount of facts. It might be
Right.
completely accurate. It may not. I don't know. And I'm sure that young man's gonna listen to this and hear it. I hope that it was completely accurate. But based on the facts that he gave me, my advice to him is very simple. One of my favorite quotes is actually from Tucker Carlson. He says, I have a moral claustrophobia against being told what to do.
Yes.
And I feel
Yes.
the same way. Like if somebody asks me, bro, if you're asking, yeah, let me see what I can do.
Right.
If you're going to tell me, this is a hill I'm willing to kill you on.
Even
no.
if I was going to do it, I will go out of my way to spite you. Don't tell me what to do. This is America.
No, but in all actuality, and I think it has a lot to do with being forced to do things that maybe I didn't always agree with.
Yeah.
And I don't like being forced.
No.
I just don't. If you're going to force me, we're going to have a problem.
That's unbiblical in every regard.
Yeah, and so that was always exemplified in my ministry as well. Like I never forced anybody to do anything. And I hate coercion and I hate manipulation and it's all weakness.
Right.
You know, my entire thing was, look, I'm going to present the facts. This is
Mhm.
how I see it. I could be wrong. I'm going to tell you I could be wrong. But, you know, I'm not going to let you make an excuse.
Yeah.
You either own it or you don't. That's your choice.
Right.
But this is what it is.
Right. You would aggressively go after things and, you know, people
Yeah.
that you wanted to be around and in the ministry and involved with, but it was never, I'm going to guilt trip you or
No.
force you into it.
No, it was always, look, I'm going to tell you the truth. Here's what I see in you.
Yeah.
Here's what I think, you know, could happen. But look, I also want you to understand I could missee you.
Yeah. Yeah.
I could be wrong. There are other things underneath the surface that you know about that I don't.
Right.
You know, would you be willing to pray about getting into X, Y, and Z?
Right.
And then the rest from there, like I'll give you an example of how manipulation happens. I've seen leaders do this where they go, well, you know, do what it is that I'm asking you to do. And if you don't, then I'm going to marginalize you.
Yes.
Or, you know, I'm not going to talk to you anymore.
You'll never get another position in the church.
Yeah. I'm going to threaten manipulation against our relationship and you
Right.
can't come over anymore. I'm too busy now.
Right.
You know, stuff like that.
Right.
Dude, I hate that.
Right.
And it's like, no, man, because I believe in you, I believe this. I could be wrong. If you
Right.
choose otherwise, I'll give you an example. I was talking with a young man where I told him, I go, hey man, I really feel like pretty strongly, which is rare that I ever tell somebody this, but I go, I really feel pretty strongly that you might be making a mistake in this, man. Like I'm afraid that, you know, you're making the wrong choice here. Would you please pray about it? You know, pick a day I'll fast with you, man. And you know, you have to decide though. It's your life. And this guy made a decision which was totally not what I recommended.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. I was like, hey, I'm not going to bring this up anymore. Like, this is done. Now we're in the next step. We're in step 2 of your decision.
Yeah.
How can I help you in step 2?
Mm-hmm.
Let me walk with you.
Right.
You know, and I'm still on your team.
Yeah.
I'm still on your side. Right. And then they went through it and then it went disastrous. And I wasn't there to throw it in their face. I'm still on your team.
Yeah.
Let's walk, because that's what I feel like the Lord does with me. And if God being God does that with me, how much more should I do it with my own brother?
Right.
I mean, it's, you know, it makes sense.
Oh, 100%.
So no, I always hated the manipulation and the forcing. And so my advice to that young man was, look, man, you can do whatever you want to do. My belief is I'm going to do what's right. And if you like it, if you don't like it, I'm going to be real honest with you. And if you want to punish me, dude, I'm willing to suffer the consequences.
Right.
You know, I would rather be hated for telling the truth than loved for telling a lie.
Right.
I'm just not interested
And
in
for
that.
those of, you know, people that know you, it all comes from you love people too much to let them, you know, make an uninformed decision or to not support them.
Relationships that I've had that have ended poorly.
Yeah.
Because we all have relationships that have ended poorly.
Yep.
Most of them have ended poorly that have because I was honest with somebody and didn't want to hear it.
Which is fine.
Which is okay.
But
I would rather
like you
go
said,
through that.
Yeah, but like you said, you're not going to let them ignore the facts of it. They're
No.
going to have to confront it. Whether they choose to ignore that fact and, you know, live with the cognitive dissonance of it, or confront it, but you're not going to let them just not be aware of it.
Right. You know where a big lesson in my life happened about this in specific subject? I was in my teens. I was in my teens and I had a friend of mine that was smoking weed, doing drugs, stuff like that.
Sure.
And there was 3 of us,
Mhm.
me and my 2 buddies. And I hated that he was doing drugs.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, but you know what? I'm a loyal friend. So I'm not going to tell anybody because I'm loyal. But I didn't tell him either, you know? And then our other buddy went and told his mom.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, oh, that's it. Your friendship's over. You weren't loyal. You're done.
Mm-mm.
But then my buddy that was doing drugs, the 3 of us were hanging out once. And he says to my buddy who told on him to his mom, hey, man, thanks for being a friend to me.
Yeah.
He goes, you cared about me more than I cared about myself.
Yep.
And I remember this vividly, being there. We were right at Maranatha on the asphalt near the front gate. Man.
Yep.
And, you know, my buddy saying this to my other buddy, and I thought to myself, man, I should have been a better friend.
Yeah.
And I should have told him the truth, even at the risk of our friendship.
Right.
And it's like I'm being loyal still to you, but I'm being loyal to something greater than that, which is my love and my care about you,
Right.
that I'm willing to tell you, hey, man, I love you enough to tell you that I know your beliefs and I see your actions, and your actions don't match your beliefs.
Yeah. How much do you really love someone if you're not willing to rebuke them?
Right. No, and what I actually loved was our friendship.
Yeah.
You know, I loved us being close.
Right.
You know,
But you don't love him.
I didn't love them. Yes, that's it. I didn't love him.
Right.
Yeah, and that's when I learned that lesson. Like, I remember it just stood out to me, man.
Yeah.
And so I cared about him, you know, not enough. But from there forward, it's like, did I care about you enough that I'm going to tell you the truth?
Right.
Yeah. So no, I think about him often still to this day. But yeah, no, quite the journey. So then, all right, unpack this for me, Jonathan. So we're going through small group discipleship. We're going
hmm
through Wall at Heart. You're growing. You're starting to influence other guys in the group. You're making a big impact, and then you're a junior leader with me because whoever I was leading with, I think it was Dadu. He had
hmm
split off, and then him and
I want to say, was it with him and then Andrew split?
I can't remember
I
who was
think.
Dadu. Oh, Dadu was co-leading with Mike.
Oh, that's right. It was
Dadu was
Mike.
co-leading with Mike.
That's
Yeah,
right.
yeah, and then Andrew was co-leading with Jay.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, that's wild.
So many splinter groups,
Yeah, I mean the goal,
which is what you want.
yeah, the goal of the group was to grow, raise up a second leader, then you co-lead, and then
Right.
you co-lead split, and then in their new groups they raise up a junior leader, and then
Yep.
eventually those leaders will split. And so when Dadu left, you got raised up as a junior leader, and then we co-led together for many years.
Yeah,
And
totally against my will. I was not ready for that.
you felt like you weren't ready. I felt like you were. I told you, hey, pray about it, and then kicking and screaming, you obeyed the Lord and accepted.
Well, I was like, yeah, I'm just me. A lot of autism, not very bright. What are we doing? Why were we picking me?
And then we led together for how many years?
7, 8 years,
Yeah,
something
7, 8.
around there. Yeah.
Yeah, a
I'm
lot.
about 19 to 26.
Yeah. And then throughout all of those years of leading, of running, we would go running all the time in the evenings. And then we'd run the Safeway. And then remember when your cousin James tried to pick up Adi Budyan and split his pants in half and then got mad at Adi?
It's a very Toderean thing to do.
And so just really, really good times. James and his fixie,
He became a cyclist.
And then the fellows would go longboarding and stuff and downtown. I know Jay would all the time.
Yeah.
And so the years went by, and then eventually you went into the law enforcement. You were looking at getting into the military for a
Yeah.
while, and then you went into law enforcement. What was that journey like?
Frustrating. Yeah, because if you remember, I think I had swapped majors and degrees like 5 or 6 times, didn't know what I was going to do, tried to get into the military. They messed up some medical records, which, the government would never mess things up.
Yeah, which we all knew about this entire journey because
Yeah.
every week we would pray for this together.
Yeah, it was just, I have no idea what I'm supposed to do,
Yeah.
and, but I mean, it was always, I don't care about money, which,
Right.
Probably to my detriment. I just, I don't care, about money, but, I wanted to do something helping people.
Yeah.
And, I had a conversation while I was still fighting the medical battles with the military, with my younger brother who had just about graduated from the academy and was maybe 6 or 7 months into, his journey. And he told me, hey, you've got the right skill set and the right temperament. You should be a cop. And I looked into it and I was like, oh man, I don't think I'll be able to get in. They're closing applications. There's a week left to apply.
What year was this?
Beginning of 2018,
Yeah,
like
so this
January,
is,
February of 2018.
just in the time frame of things, so everybody understands. This is 2 years before COVID.
Yeah.
And COVID,
Well, yeah, it
2020.
was. Wow.
Yeah, 2 years before COVID.
Yeah, yeah.
Seems like it was in a
lifetime ago.
before COVID,
Right.
But no, it was just 2 years before COVID.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I went through that, somehow got in with, a week left. Who knows how that could have happened? Was able to barely schedule all the interviews and tests and got in that, started.
I remember we were praying throughout all of this.
Yeah.
And then you were telling us, hey, I got 3 places, that I could potentially go to, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And we were all like, well, we hope it's Sacramento.
Right. Right.
We don't want to lose you.
So, yeah. And then I think it was that July I started the academy. It was July until January. And that's when I pulled away just because we were there 6 days a week for 13 hours.
Yep. Academy was intense.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then after Academy, you got sent to.
Yeah, I applied for a couple different places, decided I want to be in the mountains with the bears, my people, and went up to South Lake Tahoe.
And that's where you've been ever since.
Yeah.
And then what do you do up there as a police officer? Are you a a 1950s beat cop where you spin your baton? What do you?
Yeah, so I work patrol. That's my main duty. So respond to calls for service. You call the police on a bad day. I'm the one that shows up. And then just if there's no calls, I go out hunting, looking for people with warrants, probation, parole, making stops, kind of doing whatever I want to do. Our lead gang investigator, because we got quite a bit of gang activity up there.
You're the lead gang investigator?
Yeah.
Nice.
So I do a lot of.
I knew that, by the way, just for our listeners, but I'm asking so that way you guys know.
So I do a lot of that. I'm our head defensive tactics instructor, and I'm the head of our drone program.
The drone program?
Yeah, that's kind of new.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Very cool. What are you guys doing with drones?
Looking for people. I mean, because otherwise we got to call CHP, their helicopter from SAC.
CHP is California Highway Patrol.
Yeah, so we've got a drone program for getting into houses, and drones are the way of the future, I guess.
Yeah. Do you take drones into homes?
Oh yeah. So like if our SWAT team is hitting a house, they'll bust out a window or something. I'll fly it in, see what's in there before guys go in and get ambushed.
Wow.
Yeah.
So kind of in the same way that they would send a dog in early,
right?
You're now just sending in an electronic.
Yeah, but we like dogs. I don't
Right.
care if they hit my drone. Don't hit my dogs.
So SWAT will bust out a window, and then you'll
fly in, let them know what the layout of the house is, if anyone's inside, what they've got inside, and then they'll go in.
And are you the one controlling the drone?
Mm-hmm.
That's so cool. I had no idea, Jeff.
Yeah, try to run right into them.
That's so wild. I had no idea.
Yeah, it's a fairly new thing. We finally got all the authorizations and
Very
stuff
cool.
approved. Yeah.
Does the drone have thermal or night vision or anything?
Yeah.
That's so cool. We're going to talk about so much more of this over lunch. Oh, that's cool. There's no weapons on the drone?
Yet.
Yeah. That's the word?
I have plans. Will they get approved? Who knows? But I have plans.
That's
I'll
wild,
MacGyver
man.
something on there.
Yeah. Why is there a steak knife on the front of this? Just poking people.
It works.
That's wild, man. Yeah, it's seeing just how technology and everything is changing. What are some experiences you had being a cop?
Too many, man. So the area that I'm in, for those of you that don't know South Lake Tahoe and Lake Tahoe in general, it's a very big resort town.
Yeah, huge resort town.
Beautiful. Beautiful area. You got mountains. You've got a bunch of skiing and snowboarding up there. Obviously, the lake. So we'll get people year round from around the world. Millions and millions of people come to Tahoe, for all the outdoor stuff. It's absolutely beautiful. But so we get, let's see, we have about 20,000 full-time residents in the area, which is actually what we deal with mostly. But it's a big tourist town. It's a big party town because of that, which means it's also a big drug town. So especially because we're right on the border. My jurisdiction ends on a street called State Line, which is the border between California and Nevada.
And are you in the Nevada side or the California
side?
Mm.
So, drugs are all but legal in California. They're kind of changing things and giving us some more teeth to go after it. And drugs are completely, all but felonies in Nevada, but you can get guns without registering them in Nevada. You can't get a gun to save your life in California.
Right.
And so they just trade guns, girls, and drugs between the casino corridor and the border all day long. Makes
sense, yeah. And, for people that have never been to South Lake Tahoe, imagine a small mountain town, like a mountain city.
32 square miles.
Yeah, so small as far as square footage goes. And then, it goes suburbs, then you're downtown, and then once you pass through the downtown, you go back into suburbs. Imagine that the state line runs right through the heart of downtown. So on one side of the state line, it's just a stoplight.
Right.
On one side of the stoplight is the gondola, the ski, this like whole little town of shops and booths.
It's a little Bavarian village almost.
Yeah, it's a Bavarian village. And then on the other side of that stop sign or stoplight
are four casinos, massive
casinos because gambling was legal in Nevada, but not legal in California.
Yep.
So one side would have all of like the family shopping, touristy Bavarian town. The other side was legal brothels and casino.
Yep.
And it's just one stoplight away. So as you're driving up to it, you're going through suburbs. Then you get to the Bavarian town. Then on the other side of the stoplight is casinos, brothel, and then you're back in suburbs.
Right.
And that's right at the south of South Lake Tahoe because the state line goes right through the middle of the lake.
Yeah.
So you're carrying somebody's carrying a gun that is legal in one state, and they go on the other side of the stoplight and
Completely illegal.
completely illegal all of a
Right.
sudden.
Right.
Yeah, and there's women that work in the industry that they work in, as in the brothel on one side, and it's totally illegal,
Yep.
but not on the other side of the stoplight.
No.
So it's such a wild scenario.
It's a weird place where, California law enforcement is, for all my problems with California politics, very good for the most part. We're very trained. And then you just cross over, because we'll get into chases and we'll pursue into Nevada, and we'll have Douglas County, which is that side. They'll come join us, and they are just cowboys. They're just, it's like, I don't want to be anywhere near anything you guys are doing because it looks all illegal, but I don't, it's cool. You guys are, it's just the Wild West out there a little bit.
Yeah.
You still have casinos and, prostitutes everywhere because it's Nevada. Yeah. Everything's legal.
Yeah.
It is Sodom and Gomorrah.
Yeah, Nevada's a wild place. Like, most people also don't realize that like 80% of Nevada is owned by the federal government.
Yeah, a lot of BLM land.
Yeah, I mean, the vast majority of it. So it's like Nevada is owned by the state and able to buy and sell to people. It's like the corridor of 80 going through it, and then Las Vegas in the south, and that's it. And the rest of it is all federal land.
Yeah.
It's a really weird place.
It's a weird place. I saw something just last year that northern Nevada specifically is the most unchurched area in the entire lower 48.
Wow.
Just by population, there are less churches and less people that profess to be Christians than anywhere in the country.
Yeah, it's a very dark place.
You get a lot who moves to northern Nevada, people that want to be away from people.
Right. And for the wrong reasons.
And do whatever I want to do.
Right.
Yeah.
Whatever drugs, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a lawless area.
It really is.
Yeah, that's wild, man. I'm just curious, and I don't know if there's an answer to this or not, because we haven't really talked a ton about it, even though I'm sure. But how has like your faith informed your being a cop? Because seeing other cops and how they go through things, do you find that other cops become you know when you were a kid and you like needed the Lord, so you church it up real hard?
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, I was talking to these two guys and up in Seattle, and they were like, "Yeah, man," because I asked them, I was like, so it's good to see you at church. But almost like, why are you here? You used to not.
Otherwise, you're not here.
Yeah, what changed?
Something's happening.
Yeah, and they were like, well, man, we were out, and we were smoking, and we bought some alcohol, but they're like grown up in Pentecostal families, like, better, and he's like, we were out with the, their 4x4s, and this guy's like, yeah, we were out there and we drove out a ways, and we were coming back. He just had a good time, smoked, whatever.
Right.
As they would call it. And he's like, we were driving back and the axle broke. And he goes, and then, we started to church it up. We threw away all of our beer. He's like, we had to church it up, because we needed the Lord, so we were praying about it. I was just like, oh man, this is such a fundamental misunderstanding of how this functions. And yet God in his infinite grace, is like, hey, I'll meet you where you're at. Yep. If this is how you understand me as, Genie Jesus, if you behave well, then I'll reward you.
Right.
And God met them where they were, and that started a journey for them of actually getting to know the Lord.
Right.
But kind of in that same mentality, do you see that as being a cop, where people are like, man, I don't believe in the Lord, but, when you're about to like kick in the door at a house, you ever see any guys be like, hey man, say a prayer for me as well?
Yeah.
Does that... that phrase, there's no atheist in a foxhole?
Right, right.
I've always been curious. Do you see that or not so much?
Not so much. So, to be in law enforcement, you kind of already have a natural conservative leaning to start with.
Yeah, I understand that.
And a lot of them, just by nature, have some sort of a church background. A lot of them I know go to church.
Or they were raised in a home and have that worldview.
Right. And so you see a lot of them that at least identify as such.
Right.
Do they live it? That's a different conversation.
To the degrees, yeah.
Right. And so there is some of that, but it's a really strange place where it's very shallow at best.
You ever have any situations that are like really hairy?
Yeah.
Like you're going in, with SWAT guys or whatever. And I'm not asking you to share anything that you can't share.
Right.
But I'm just curious, like, what do you do? What do you feel in those moments? Like, or do you think through? Because I've never been in anything like that. Do you sit there and think, I could die? Do you just not bother with those thoughts because you just got a job to do? Or
Well, you know me, I'm not all right in the head. I think it's fun. I think it's a great job.
For those of you listening, I've known Jonathan many years. This isn't some persona. This is really how he is.
It's a job where I get to drive fast, kick indoors, get paid to get into fights and play with guns. What's there to complain
Yeah,
about?
yeah, I see it. I see it
Yeah.
all.
And no, but you'll have the moments, and I can't quite talk about it, but I shared
Of
it with
course,
you
yeah.
guys about some big op that we were doing a couple months back, and yeah, I'll say a prayer before getting out there,
Yeah.
and I
You
asked you
texted us.
guys,
Yeah.
hey, can you guys just kind of this could be really hairy,
Yeah. And we all dropped what we were doing. We were praying for
yeah,
you guys. Yeah, of
and
course.
but you don't really see that so much, and unfortunately, there's a bit of a stigma with cops and what their actual character is like.
Mm.
Not that they're doing anything illegal or immoral, but the statistic of the two professions that has the most infidelity, cops and nurses.
Right.
Right? A lot of cops have alcoholism that they're dealing with.
It's a hard job.
It's a hard job. You got the dark humor to get through it, but and I was sharing some stories with you guys where you're like, oh my gosh, that's horrific, and I'm laughing because that's the way you process it. But and then you get the ones with the kids, and that's where it gets hard, and some people get into some dark places with that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I can't imagine having to deal with stuff like that 24/7 all the time.
Yeah.
And then it not wearing on you after a while.
It gets to you. It gets to you a little
Yeah.
bit, and unfortunately, a lot of divorces happen, a lot of infidelity happens, a lot of, substance abuse happens.
Yeah. Coping mechanisms.
Yeah. I mean, especially where we are, I don't know any of the guys that I'm currently working with that have dealt with it, but I've heard stories from cops before my time there. There's a place called the Bunny Ranch, about 30-ish miles out. It's a brothel, and guys would go there after work.
Wow. Yeah.
They sit down at the bar. They have a menu of girls to pick from. They'd pick what they want.
That's horrible. Yeah. But that's
and
legal
what
in
they deal,
Nevada.
and it's legal,
That's crazy.
and that's how they deal with it.
Yeah. No, definitely a very difficult job. I feel like that's one of the places where the church can do more for people that are in the industry that are underneath hardship. I
Yeah.
mean, the truth is that the police department is the shield that protects the civilianship from the darkness.
Yeah.
In a lot of, in the specific pragmatic sense of, breaking the law and wickedness and harming and all of that. And
Right.
then, the church is the shield that protects us spiritually.
Right.
And I think that those two things, definitely can work hand in hand a lot better. Yeah. But that's where brotherhood comes in.
That's exactly what it is. And that's the hard part is I'm struggling to find a church out there, not because the church itself is necessarily bad or the community is not good. We talk about it all the time, the feminization of the church, of the Western church.
Yeah.
And I get off of, a shift or the end of my work week, and I'm going to go in, and it's this false, how are you doing, brother? It's like, I don't need that. I don't go to the church to learn. I go to the church to unwind and get refed.
Yeah.
So that I can go back out.
Yeah. And I feel like, with your guys' specific industry, with your specific jobs, like you're going to need something more niche than what the average citizen will need.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like the church should be a place where everybody can find identity. And I think that, we're not saying anything new or groundbreaking. No. There's so many different people out there now, finally, in podcasts saying that, the church is very feminized. It's not really a very masculine place. It's not a place where men go, hey, man, I need to go and be there and hang out with my brothers. Francis Chan, in his book, Letters to the Church, has this great point that he makes where he goes, biker gangs are known for greater loyalty and brotherhood than the church. And we should have that reputation as the church, not biker gangs, you know? And I think it has to do with the fact that, like in biker gangs, so on, they go through hardship together as men.
Yeah.
And in the church, we don't go through hardship together.
Yeah. I got a couple of buddies, man, I will die for them.
Yeah. Because you've been in situations where you might have had to.
We've been in some hairy situations together, and I know they got my back and I got theirs.
Right.
Two of them are on their own very, very early journey of finding the Lord.
That's awesome.
So that's growing the relationship even more. But yeah, I got buddies that I would die for. And then I come into a church and there's some guy in a tweed sweater talking about you just have to be a better man and love your family. And it's like, that's okay, but I need a man. I need
Yeah.
a man that I can
And,
like
and you should
grow
love your
from.
family.
Yeah.
And you should be a better man. But
Don't
yeah,
don't
first
tell
off,
me about it.
the sweater was Argyle, not tweed. Not
My mistake. It's alpaca. But you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, 100%.
I don't need a guy that's up there telling me. I need a guy to show me.
Yeah, yeah. And I feel like, like even in men's ministry, a lot of times it's like, hey, let's get together and talk about our feelings and have conversations. And it's like, dude, I don't know you.
Right.
I like for men, we need a lot of trust, and trust happens through hard situations.
Right.
Trust happens through, hey, let's sit down and discuss and let's walk through some things. And it usually doesn't happen in a group setting.
No.
It can, but it's not easy.
No.
And if it becomes too emotional and there isn't success and reconciliation and growth and
Right.
role models, it has a hard time thriving in that. And if it
Right.
just becomes a coping mechanism, which I feel like a lot of times men's ministry does, it's just a place to escape.
Yeah.
I get it. Sometimes that's just necessary too, but it should really be more than that. It should be, hey, let's get together and do something.
Yes.
Like
Yes.
we need things to do together.
Right.
I heard this great example where it was like women will go face to face.
Yep.
And they're very relational.
Yeah.
And men, we go shoulder to shoulder.
Right.
We don't go face to face.
Right.
Like I'm not going to sit here and go, hey, tell me about your feelings. You'll be like, dude, go fly a kite. I don't have time for this.
Right.
Now
you
But
want
if
to
we're-
come go hunting with me or something?
Right.
Cool. Let's go hunting. We're doing man things.
And this is
But
why
then that's where all that comes out.
Yeah, and this is why, like, I think that it doesn't fit within the church to be like, well, we do women's ministry where they get together and they do tea and they have a discussion and somebody teaches for 30 minutes. That's fine.
And it really works for them.
Yeah, and, for men, it's like, well, let's do the same thing, but now for men. No, for men, go give us something to do.
Yeah.
Like, here's the thing. We're going to go and we have a contractor in the church who is a very good contractor. Great. Let's go build a tiny home for somebody. Let's go build a house for somebody in need.
Right.
Let's go build an addition. Awesome. We got 10 guys that can, enroll because that we don't need more than that. We got 15, we got 20. Great. The contractor is going to teach you guys how to do this thing. The church is going to throw the money towards it and pay for all the materials.
Mm-hmm.
You guys are going to show up on a Saturday and we're going to do some construction work.
Yeah.
But it's not going to be let's just get the work done. No, it's going to be let me teach you guys how to do the work. Well, as you're teaching, if you're intentional, that's where relationship happens. That's where brotherhood happens.
Right.
That's where, hey man, I get it. Like I see what you're building
Right.
there. I see, and then friendship happens.
Right. I've been talked to my entire life. I need to do something with someone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Jay Adi and I went on a hunting trip 6 years ago. It's been a bit, and we still think about that hunting trip all the time.
Yeah.
And it's just about the conversations we had walking through the forest. Geared up, strapped to the teeth.
Yeah.
And just looking for deer, and we were, trying to stalk and learning things and looking at terrain, and what a great trip.
Right. Well, and we talk about it all the time because it's, while that heart was so mental to us, but, the idea that Adam was born in the wilderness where Eve was brought into the garden.
Right.
And the command to Adam to go out, conquer, dominate, subdue the earth and the land was not given to Eve.
Yeah.
It was given to Adam.
And we're still wild at heart.
Right.
We're drawn by that.
Right. We want something to do.
Yeah.
We got to do something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even like this guys trip that we just took right now just to hang out. It was good to get away from other things to do and to just be with other fellas and to have good conversation.
Yeah.
But we also recorded a podcast while we were there.
Yeah.
And it gave us something to do.
Right.
Like, we don't like just going on a trip and sitting around for, 2-3 days. We want to do something while we're on that trip.
Yeah.
Yeah, sense of accomplishment. Like, I hate going to the beach. My wife loves going to the beach, which is great. She'll lay there and she'll bake on one side
Sounds
and she'll
miserable.
roll over. I'll lay there for like 10 minutes. And I'm like, all right, I need something to do.
Yeah.
So it's time to start looking for animals or dig a hole or find crabs or...
You got to bring a shovel, like even a kid shovel. I got to dig a hole.
Yeah.
I got to do something.
Yeah. I mean,
Right.
that's really it.
Right.
Yeah. And I think we're just hardwired that way. There's nothing wrong with that.
No, it's necessary. And all the men that boys that we look at with disgust are guys that don't do anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I mean, it's true because I feel like even women aren't attracted to men who don't do anything.
Well, they're not men.
Well, yeah, we have a Peter Pan generation that we could talk
Right.
about for ages. But anyway,
So yeah, those guys that, are I mean, they're all like my brothers and we all wear the same uniform and I got all of their backs anytime. But there's the brothers that I've got.
Yeah.
That because we've gone through things together and we've done things together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. And we know how important a brothership is, or a brotherhood.
Yeah.
And there are guys that are listening to this all over the country that are like, dude, I want what these guys have, And what it takes is it just takes getting together with some guys, and then it's going to take some vulnerability.
Yeah.
You're going to get hurt sometimes. Some people are going to leave the group sometimes, and that's fine.
Yeah.
It's going to take some vulnerability and some trust, but you start to go through some things together. And when you go through things together, that's where relationship happens.
Right.
Yeah, it's funny because whenever you try to get people together for the creation of community, we do like icebreakers, right?
Oh,
I hate icebreakers.
is there anything more miserable on the planet?
Especially as guys. All right, let's just check the boxes and find
Right.
what do you want us to do? Go through this questionnaire, find somebody from a different city, find somebody, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, okay, whenever you try to create community actually doesn't happen. We don't
No.
actually get to know each other. But
No.
wherever you put people together on mission, community happens.
Yeah.
Give us a task to do together, and I'll get to know Jonathan
Yeah.
while we're digging a hole together, building a thing together. And when we see each other next, we're like, hey, there's this guy.
Right.
Yeah, oh man, we go back a little bit. We did this together, we did that.
Right.
And that's where I got to know, okay, let's say we're pouring a concrete foundation together for some house for, an orphanage or something,
Sure.
whatever. So we're working on this project together. I'm going to see if you're lazy.
You're going to know my character
I'm going to know your character.
real quick.
I'm going to see if when we show up, if we're on time and if you're not on time.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to see if,
Am I going to mumble and grumble the entire time?
Yeah. Are you going to be lazy and complain? Are you
Yeah.
going to, and that's how we build relationships as
Yeah.
guys, but if I'm sitting there and I'm working and I see you come alongside me, I'm like, hey man, I already finished my task. Let me come give you a hand.
Yeah.
Dude, this guy's solid.
Yeah.
And that's how relationships happen.
Right. Because we're going to get attracted to and drawn towards people with similar qualities.
Yeah. Or,
Right.
or better qualities.
Oh,
That we're like, dude, I want to learn
Right.
that from this guy.
it's either, but I'm not going to get one with, I'm not going to form a relationship with someone that's sub my character, like below it.
Yeah. I mean, you
Because I'm going to get drawn down to your level.
right. And you will sometimes, if you're like, all right, he's at least teachable. Let me pour into him a little bit.
That's a different thing.
Yeah, that's a different thing.
I'm talking, you're a hard worker. You may not know what you're doing and making a mess of the job.
Right.
But you're a hard worker.
Hey.
I will take that all day long.
Exactly.
But a guy that's lazy and doesn't want to work and doesn't want to be there, but he's showing up so he can be, for whatever reason, whether to check off a box and say, hey, I showed up. And
Maybe he
I did
has
the
no
thing.
friends, so he's just trying to get friends.
Sure,
that happens.
but he doesn't want to work. I'm not going to, what's the quote? You're the sum of your five closest friends or something.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I'm not going to let you in my circle. You don't have a good character.
And that's exactly it. Just because you don't have the skill,
No, I
or
don't-
if nobody taught you, that's fine. Are you teachable?
Yeah, I don't care about that. Yeah, do you have a good attitude about it?
Yeah.
Right.
100%.
And I'm going to make sure that my 5 closest friends all have a character better than mine because I want to be theirs.
Right.
Right.
Right. And I mean, that's
And
really
that's
the goal.
how men form friendships and relationships.
Yeah. And, for young men that are listening to this, it's like, find people that you can pour into.
Yeah.
And find people that you can be humble and learn from.
Yeah.
And don't sit there and be like, oh, yeah, I have it figured out too. Dude, no, you don't. And that's all right. It's okay that you don't have it figured out.
Right.
But get around people and be like, hey, man,
Yeah.
look, whenever I'll be around somebody and I'll see that they have a really amazing characteristic, like I was hanging out with my good buddy Danny Ishvan,
Yeah.
a couple of
Great
weeks
guy.
ago. Yeah, him and his wife have such amazing kids.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, his kids are stellar.
Yeah.
And I told him, I was like, man, I can't tell you how much you and your kids are a role model to me.
Mhm.
Like, I want to raise Franklin and Moses the way that you guys raised Joshua and Marcus and
Right.
the rest of your kids. Because they're amazing, you know?
Right.
I see that in John and Lavi Dobrea. The way
Yeah.
that they raise their kids, amazing. They're role models of mine in a
Yeah.
lot of things. Dude, I'm still trying to get to John and Lavi's level of budgeting. They're really good at budgeting.
Yeah.
And John and I'm always gleaning information off of him because I'm like, John,
Right.
how do
But
I do this? And
You
how
can't
do you
be
approach
standing
that?
at a distance and what are they doing over there? No,
Right.
You got to get close to them.
Yeah, you got to find other people that you can learn
Right.
from, and then there's other people dude, like that are like my wife and I are pour into Justin and Becky, but I go to Becky to explain to me how to use Instagram, all right? Because
Because you're a boomer, yes.
well, yeah, nice, whatever, renter. You like that?
I do.
So anyway. That's so hurtful. It's fantastic. So anyway, I'll go to Becky because they're always upgrading the Instagram app, and I
Yeah.
don't care to learn the new upgrade because by the time I learn it, they upgraded it. I just don't care. right?
Right.
But all the time, I'll be like, hey, Beck, how does this work? Okay, she's somebody that I'm pouring into, but when it comes to like technology and marketing,
Right.
there's a reason
It
she's our
goes both
marketing
ways.
coordinator. Yeah, and that's just relationship. There's
Right.
nothing wrong with that. The
Right.
idea that I have everything figured out and nobody can teach me, well, enjoy living by yourself, man.
Mm-hmm.
'Cause that's how you isolate yourself.
100%.
So anyway, but yeah, no, it's important, and just for young men and young women that are out there, but especially for young men, be teachable, be humble.
Yeah.
It'll only open doors for you.
There is no Lone Ranger. It does not exist.
It only on TV.
I tried it for years. It does not exist, man. You're going to burn out.
At the end of the day, we need each other.
Yeah.
That's the truth of it.
Right.
But yeah, John, it's been really good, man.
Yeah.
Recording together. It's been really good just hanging out and stuff. Let's go grab lunch after this.
Amen.
And yeah. It's always a joy and a pleasure, man, to be together. I'm so glad you come and hang out with us every year. And looking forward to, just kind of unpacking this conversation further when we go out to lunch and stuff, and for all that God has in store. Hopefully, now this is just me being completely selfish, and you know where this is headed.
The guilt tripping starts, fellas. This is how it happens.
It's not a guilt trip. This guy. Yeah, you know what, dude? No, I can't say it. Hopefully, Lord willing, it would be really cool if you ended up even moving out here, just so we can be together more often. But at the end of the day, wherever God has you, that's where I want you to be.
Yeah.
And that's just purely selfish because I want us to be closer together because we've been on a long journey and still a lot more journey.
Many years to go.
Yeah. So anyway, man, thanks for being with us. And for all of our listeners, thanks for tuning in. And we'll see you guys next week. Thanks and God bless.